A very good evening to all of you, and this is the national news broadcast on Channel I. And we are ready to bring you the top stories from home and around the world. I'm Natalia Viravadana.
Hello there, a very good evening indeed. I'm Javed Bongzo, and we begin with the headlines of tonight's news.
Sri Lanka Potujana Peramuna emphasizes that the media reports on an alleged statement made by Basil Rajapaksa over the abolishment of provincial councils is baseless. Committee report on the 20th Amendment presented to the Prime Minister. President says Sri Lanka has the potential to become one of the world's leading maritime hubs. A revelation has cited that certain officials have altered the evidence to implement the hunt against war heroes during the Yahapalana government period. Attention directed to confiscate illegally earned assets and finances of the illegal drug traffickers. Steps taken to expedite the construction of Aruwakkalu Hygienic Solid Waste Disposal Project.
And on the top story for tonight, Chief Secretary of the Sri Lanka Potujana Peramuna parliamentarian Sagara Karyawasam says that the national organizer of the party, Basil Rajapaksa, has not issued any statement claiming that the powers of the provincial councils will be directed to local government institutions if the provincial councils to be nullified. These remarks were made in a statement issued with the signature of the Chief Secretary of the party. A daily newspaper published on last Monday had mentioned that a statement in this regard was made during a meeting held with the representatives of the party on the 11th of September. The Secretary Sagara Karyawasam stated that certain electronic media had also publicized in this regard. The statement has indicated that the national organizer Basil Rajapaksa has not made a statement citing such claims.
And the report of the committee appointed to review the 20th Amendment to the Constitution was handed over to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today. The relevant committee was appointed by the Prime Minister. The relevant report was handed over to the Prime Minister at the Temple Trees. The committee comprised of cabinet ministers, state ministers and parliamentarians. Minister Professor G.L. Pires was the chairman of the committee. The committee members briefed the Prime Minister on the additions and amendments identified during the study to the 20th Amendment.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that Sri Lanka can use its unique location as an advantage to become one of the world's leading maritime hubs. President Rajapaksa pointed out that development goals could be achieved speedily by developing our ports facilities by emulating the world's most advanced ports as examples. The President made these remarks during a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat today on the future activities of the State Ministry of Warehouse Facilities, Container Yards, Port Supply Facilities and Boat and Shipbuilding Industry Development. The President emphasized the need to develop our ports to a higher level that would make them capable of attracting world's largest cargo ships, each with a capacity of 24,000 containers. The President further said that the port system should be developed to cater to the needs of the international vessels plying close to the country, and in parallel to these initiatives, ports in Colombo, Galle, Trincomalee, Kankasanthurei and Oluville should be developed. The development of the eastern and western terminals of the Colombo port should be accelerated. A special attention was paid to upgrade the reshipment handling capacity, offering warehouse facilities and container terminals as well as supply facilities of international standards. It was also discussed to construct new warehouse facilities in areas such as Ratmalana, Palyagoda and Veyangoda to promote Colombo port as a transshipment hub. The government should intervene to construct fuel shortage tanks and supply fuel to the vessels. The President authorized the construction of a docking bay in Beruwala to facilitate the launch of large boats into the sea. The President highlighted that it's necessary to expand manufacturing, repairs and maintenance of ships and boats, aiming the global market. The expansion of facilities to exchange naval staff centering main ports is also important, he added. Minister Rohita Gunawardena, State Minister Jayantha Samaravira, Head of the Presidential Task Force for Economic Revival, Mr. Basil Rajapaksa, Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara, Secretaries of both Cabinet and State Ministries, Heads of the line institutes and entrepreneurs in the shipping industry were present at the discussion. The government analyst's report on the water samples collected from the surrounding area of the fire-stricken empty New Diamond oil tanker has been released today. Marine Environment Protection Authority has indicated that according to the report, no leakage of crude oil had occurred after a fire erupted in the ship. The stricken empty New Diamond oil tanker is currently anchored about 64 nautical miles in the deep sea away from Kalmune. Operations are underway to remove the water in the ship used to douse the fire. Marine Environment Protection Authority has mentioned that a status report has been compiled by the company involved in the operations to douse the fire after examining the ship.
Today we received the report from government analyst regarding the quality of the oil. We supposed to take this report as annexure for the complete report, and maybe within this couple of days time we plan to complete the report with all the evidences and all the laboratory reports we received from government analyst and again from NARA and again from University of Ruhuna, and submit this to the Attorney General, and I think that will be used in future cases, future hearings, but just to secure our the claims from the insurance company, and again as fines we are supposed to impose through proper legal actions.
Former Chief of the National Intelligence, Sisira Mendes, says that the former Director of the State Intelligence Service, Nilantha Jayawardena, failed to seek any advice from him, though he was the Chief of the National Intelligence at that period. He also said that the former Director of the State Intelligence officially dealt with the Defence Secretary and not with him. He recorded these statements before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on the Easter Sunday attacks yesterday. Retired DIG Sisira Mendes recorded statements before the Presidential Commission yesterday for the fifth day. The Commission initially inquired on the letter which was received by the former Director of the State Intelligence Service, Nilantha Jayawardena, in regard of the information received on the attack by a foreign intelligence unit. Responding, Sisira Mendes said that he received the relevant letter which was marked as top secret in the morning of 8th April 2019. He said that the letter contained information regarding an attack which was planned by the National Tawhid Jamaat organization led by Zaharan Hashim. The additional solicitor has inquired the witness on his religion. Responding, the witness had said that he is a Buddhist and his wife is Roman Catholic. Accordingly, the Commission has inquired the witness whether he takes his wife to the church for special occasions. The witness has replied, yes. Later, the additional solicitor inquired on the measures which were taken by the witness after getting aware on the attack on the 8th of April. Witness responded that though he tried to meet the former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando once he received the letter on the 8th of April, the attempt was unsuccessful as former Defence Secretary was engaged in a meeting with the Indian Defence Secretary who had visited Sri Lanka at that time. He further said that, however, he met the former Defence Secretary in the evening on the same and made him aware on the information in that regard. The witness also said that upon making the former Defence Secretary aware on the letter, he said that they will inform Nilantha Jayawardena to present this fact in the Intelligence Coordination meeting, which was planned to be held on the next day. Accordingly, the additional solicitor inquired whether the witness reminded the former director to present the relevant letter to the meeting held on the next day. Responding, the witness said that he forgot to remind in this regard and also said that it is a responsibility of the former director to present the information to the meeting, which was received to him. Later, the Commission inquired on why they did not add the item of inquiry of the letter to the agenda of the meeting, which was planned to be held on the 9th of April. The witness said that as it is a tradition of the intelligence officers to reveal information to the meeting which was received to them, they did not add it up to the agenda of the meeting. Accordingly, the additional solicitor inquired the witness whether he received a phone call by the former director, Nilantha Jayawardena, in the evening of the 8th April. Chief of the National Intelligence, Sisira Mendes, responded that Nilantha Jayawardena called him to inquire on the letter he sent and also said that he uttered that this would be a political issue, as the name of a sibling of a politician who was trying to help Zaharan to escape the country illegally was also mentioned in the information. Meanwhile, the witness said that Nilantha Jayawardena did not reveal the identity of the sender of the initial intelligence report. And the witness also said that he was made aware on the fact that the initial report was sent by an international intelligence unit is after hearing the inquiries of the Presidential Commission.
And decisions were reached to impose prevailing legal provisions related to the confiscation of illegally earned assets and finances of the arrested illegal drug traffickers immediately and to amend relevant regulations in this regard during a meeting held yesterday. The meeting was headed by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Higher-ranking officials of the Department of Attorney General, Sri Lanka Police and other relevant state institutions were present for this meeting. Suspects continue to benefit from the illegally earned assets until the confiscation of their assets following the conclusion of their relevant court cases. A discussion was held at the meeting on the steps to be taken to avert the money earned through such assets for illegal activities. The officials direct the attention of the Prime Minister on the confiscation of money and assets immediately after the arrest of the suspects. A lengthy discussion was held on the provisions under the Money Laundering Act and the Financial Transaction Reporting Act No. 6 of 2006. Attention was directed on introducing new amendments to these acts and the implementation in accordance to the prevailing provisions under the acts. A decision was reached to immediately act in accordance to prevailing legal provisions and to consider amending the necessary laws accordingly. Secretary to the Prime Minister Gamini Senarath, Secretary to the Defence Retired Major General Kamal Gunaratne and Acting IGP CD Vikramratne were present at this meeting. Several firearms allegedly belonged to Mitiagoda Amit Sanjeeva alias Kalupe Amit, who is currently in prison for 2 murders, were recovered from Mitiagoda area in Ambalangoda today. The firearms were found in accordance to a tip-off received by the Intelligence Division of the Police Special Task Force. Accordingly, a pistol produced in Austria, 12-bore type gun, locally produced gun, 2 grenades and 8 9mm type live ammunitions were among the firearm haul. Further investigations will be carried out by the Mitiagoda police. Sri Lanka Army managed to apprehend a total of 45 60mm mortar bombs during a search operation carried out in Tachana Mardamadu area, Mana. The search operation was carried out in accordance to a tip-off received by the intelligence officers of the 54th Brigade. 4 suspects, along with a haul of turmeric and a haul of Kerala cannabis, were taken into custody following a raid carried out by the officers of the Police Special Task Force and Mana 54th Brigade in Oilankulama, Puthikudi, Mana. The raid was conducted in accordance to a tip-off received by Sri Lanka Army. The officers managed to apprehend 52 kilograms of Kerala cannabis, 920 kilograms of turmeric, $500 US dollar notes and 1.725 million rupees in cash. Also, a tractor and a small lorry were apprehended during the raid. Intelligence officers of the Western Provincial North Intelligence Division apprehended 2 suspects along with 11 kilograms of Kerala cannabis in Mallahava, Mirgama. Interrogations have revealed that one of the suspects is a former Sri Lankan Navy personnel. And in other local stories, a former member of the Northern Provincial Council, M.K. Shivajilingam, has been arrested by the Kope police on charges of organising a commemoration to the deceased LTTE member Thilipan. The commemoration was held in Urumpere in Jaffna, while the commemorations of Thilipan, who was a member of a banned LTTE organisation, has been prohibited by the Jaffna Magistrate Court recently. M.K. Shivajilingam was arrested for breaching the recently imposed prohibition by the court.
Senior DIG in charge of the Western Province, Deshabandhu Tennakon, says that 3-wheelers and motorcycles will only be allowed to use the priority lane for buses from tomorrow onward. The temporarily suspended the pertaining laws relevant to the lanes in Colombo City was reinitiated yesterday. The laws related to lanes were implemented with the aim to resolve the adverse traffic congestion prevailing in Colombo City during the morning. 4 main entry roads to Colombo City have been selected in this regard. Senior DIG in charge of Western Province, Deshabandhu Tennakon, requested the drivers of 3-wheelers and motorcycles to adhere to lane laws and use the lane allocated for buses in order to successfully complete the experimental program set to be initiated tomorrow, as changing lanes while commuting on the roads by the 3-wheelers and motorcycles has been identified as one of the major issues relevant to traffic congestion. Ceylon Private Bus Owners Association has expressed their objection for permitting 3-wheelers and motorcycles to use the bus priority lane. President of Ceylon Private Bus Owners Association, Gamanu Vijayaratna, said that the rate of road traffic accidents will increase if the three-wheelers and motorcycles permitted to use the bus priority lane. He also said that they will step out from the bus priority lane program.
And in more local stories, President Rajapaksa directed that the plans should be devised to meet 70% of the country's electricity demand using renewable energy sources by the year 2030. President Rajapaksa made these comments during a discussion with the State Ministry of Solar, Wind and Hydropower Generation Projects Development at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. Due to climatic changes, all countries across the globe are inclined towards the usage of renewable sources of energy, abandoning fossil fuels such as coal and petroleum. The annual increment demand for electricity is at 6%. It has been calculated that following the launch of development projects, electricity demand will further increase. The President highlighted that the country should harness renewable energy sources as much as possible for the future generations to experience a sustainable development. President emphasized that institutes with the authority to approve development projects should have feasibility reports stand by and the approval process should be expedited. President added that if approval is sought for a certain project, approval be granted within 14 days, and if it exceeds 14 days, it could be considered a sign of approval. The government has made the promotion of renewable energy a top priority. President advised the Secretary to the President to issue a gazette calling for all the institutes to assist in this endeavor. The President said that if all the projects selected through the tender process are not commenced within 3 months, the license will be revoked. Head of the Presidential Task Force on Economic Revival, Basil Rajapaksa, pointed out that the possibility of installing solar panels as a part of the 5,000 irrigation schemes earmarked for renovation. He further said that it was appropriate to give solar energy power projects only to entrepreneurs in the relevant districts, as well as to grant a certain percentage of the profits to farmers' associations. The focus was also on the possibility of installing solar panels on the roofs of schools, factories and government buildings, and the possibility of giving a portion of the profits to the relevant institutions. In particular, attention was drawn to explore the possibility of installing solar panels on the roofs of schools, factories and government buildings, and the possibility of giving a portion of the profits to the relevant institutions. The construction of wind farms in Mana, Punarin and Siambalandua is aimed at adding a significant percentage of renewable energy to the national grid. The President also stressed that the government should do all it can do to encourage independent entrepreneurs to start wind or solar power projects. Minister Dallas Alhaperuma, State Minister Duminda Dissanayaka, Secretary to the President P.B. Jasundra, Secretaries to the Cabinet and State Ministries, head of line institutions and entrepreneurs in the energy sector were also present at this discussion. A report on mothers currently in prison along with 46 children was handed over to Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today. Presenting the relevant report, State Minister Sudarshini Fernandopulle instructed to look into a special program for the children in accordance to the content of the report. The Prime Minister instructed to explore the legal background to grant freedom for them. A report published on a national newspaper on the mothers currently in prison on various criminal charges including illegal trafficking along with 46 children was presented to the Prime Minister at the Temple Trees. Taking part in the meeting, the heads of the state institutions relevant to prisons and rehabilitation engaged in a discussion on the difficulties prevailing in prisons at present. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa further instructed State Minister Sudarshini Fernandopulle to take measures in directing offenders addicted to illegal drugs and currently placed under remand custody for workplaces in accordance to an appropriate mechanism during the rehabilitation process. Instructions were directed to formulate a necessary mechanism along with the Ministry of Justice to place the rehabilitated inmates in society as disciplined citizens. A commemorative flag issued to mark the Prisoners' Welfare Day was pinned on the Prime Minister at the Temple Trees today. Director of Presidential Special Projects and former Vice President of Prisoners' Welfare Society R.A.D. Sirsena pinned the commemorative flag on the Prime Minister. The funds collected from the sale of the commemorative flag will be directed for the welfare relations of the prisoners. Commissioner General of Prisons Tushara Upuldenia was also present at this occasion. The 14th Buddhist Literary Festival organized by the All Ceylon Buddhist Congress was held in Colombo this evening. This event was held with the participation of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. This Buddhist Literary Festival was held at the headquarters of the All Ceylon Buddhist Congress and was chaired by Puravidya Chakravarti, Shastrapati Venerable Ellavala Medananda Thera. 12 Buddhist volumes written in the year 2019 were commended at the event. These volumes were issued under categories of academic, research, translation and new literature. 3 special commemorative awards were presented remembering Professor Gunapala Malasekara, renowned artist Solis Mendis and historian Valisingha Harishchandra. Chairman of the All Ceylon Buddhist Congress Jagat Sumatipala presented the Buddhist stamp history book and Buddhist literary commemorative volume to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa was also commended for the service rendered to the betterment of Buddha Sasana and for holding the membership of the Buddhist Congress for 40 years. Mahasangha and State Ministers Vidura Vikramanayake and Sarath Virasekara were present at this occasion.
And on more local stories, the construction process of the Aruvakalu sanitary garbage storage, which can deposit 1,200 tons of garbage per day, has been accelerated by the instructions of the President and the Prime Minister. Water for cultivation activities and energy are proposed to be generated from the byproducts of the project. The project is carried out in a 265-acre land in Aruvakalu, and the cost of the project is $120 million. Construction is carried out by the China Harbour Private Limited. Supervision of the project is carried out by the Central Engineering Consultancy Bureau and a South Korean company. The garbage, which are classified by the Colombo Municipal Council and Provincial Administration Institutes, are being transported through rail from Kelaniya to Aruvakalu by a special secured train and will be stored there in 2 trains. Each consisting of 30 compartments will be used, and a train will be able to transport 600 tons of garbage for a single trip. Natural gas can be obtained after 2 years of commencing operations of the storage. The energy which will be generated by the project is planned to be utilized for the energy requirement of the project itself and will also be supplied to the national grid. Energy generation, purification of impure water and being able to carry out tests in the in-house laboratory are some of the additional benefits of the project. Officials including the State Minister Nalaka Godaheva and the Secretary to the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing Sirinimal Pereira observed the project yesterday.
And it has been revealed today that the officials, including former Director of Criminal Investigation Department Shani Abesekara and Police Inspector Nishanta Silva, have presented submissions to the Attorney General Department after altering the evidence to execute the hunt against the war heroes during the Yahapalana government period. These revelations were made when the complaint lodged by Sri Lankan Navy Commander Sumit Ranasinghe was taken up for hearing before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on Political Victimization. Commander Sumit Ranasinghe has complained to the Commission claiming that his arrest over the alleged abduction and disappearance of 11 youth in Colombo during the year 2008 was carried out upon political interference. Presenting submissions at the Commission, he said that the Criminal Investigation Department, which conducted the relevant investigation, made the arrest by altering the evidence upon the needs of the Yahapalana government. He emphasized that this act can be considered as a conspiracy to portray nationally and internationally that the political leadership which ended the war had committed war crimes. And the Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Ruwan Wijewardena, says that he expects to work closely with the Samagi Janabala Vega in the future. Speaking to the media, he said that he is ready to take over the leadership of the party in the future as well. Deputy Leader of United National Party Ruwan Wijewardena said that he is ready to commit in reclaiming the rightful position the party in the future. He said that Samagi Janabala Vega comprises of members who had left the party. He added that many discussions were held with them recently. He said that the party is expecting to work closely with them in the opposition. He said that he is also ready to take over the leadership of the party with the consent of the UMP Working Committee.
State Minister Dilum Amunugama says that a new mechanism will be introduced for the medical examination related to the issuance of the driver's license. He made these remarks while addressing a media briefing held in Colombo yesterday. State Minister Dilum Amnugama said that the decisions taken on the medical examinations are still enforced. He said that the tests on cholesterol, blood pressure and diabetes will be continued. He added that the license will not be revoked if the license holder is positive for these ailments. He further said that a drug test will also be carried out to determine whether the license holder has been intoxicated from alcohol. He indicated that this test will be strictly imposed on heavy vehicle drivers. He said that a new testing methodology will be introduced to determine whether the license holder has been intoxicated from illegal drugs in future. He said that extra examinations conducted on the heavy vehicle drivers have been revoked. The State Minister said that a new driver's license consists of information expected to be introduced in near future. State Minister Dilum Amnugama said that the demerit system, which starts at 100 points, would continue to deduct the points following the offences committed by the driver. He said that if the driver obtains 0 points, then the license will be permanently revoked.
And the leadership training program for the graduates recruited to the public sector is currently in progress, as a total of 8,160 graduates are currently being trained at 51 Army centres. Army Commander Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva engaged in an observational tour looking into the process of the training program, which was carried out at the Panagoda Army Camp. 43,136 graduates island-wide have been recruited in this phase for the public sector thus far. Graduates who were not recruited will have the chance to submit appeals, and appointments will be presented to them in this regard. The Army Commander cast his special attention to the residential and food facilities of the trainees of the Panagoda Army Camp. Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva said that the process is being carried out by 5 groups. He also said that the program is implemented to make sure that the graduates who were specialized in their respective streams will get recruited. He said that currently 43,136 graduates are undertaking training at this phase.
Opening ceremony of the newly built fitness centre in the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute premises, consisting of latest technology equipment, was concluded today. The cost of the project is more than 6 million rupees. The ceremony was conducted under the cardinality of the Minister of Mass Media, Kehelia Rambukwella, and the Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs, Namal Rajpaksha. The centre is carried out under the service of experienced physical instructors and masseurs. The centre has a capacity to train 15 athletes at once.
And that's it for tonight's news. Do watch us tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Good night.